and welcome to another video broadcast. Tonight I am going to be answering some of your questions about our upcoming intermittent fasting for today's Aging Woman course. And I am also going to be kind of going over some of the most frequently asked questions that I've been getting. And then also let you guys know that tonight, or tomorrow actually, will be our close-out day. If you are kind of on the fence about joining us for the May group, we will be closing out registration tomorrow. So if you're interested in getting in, you got to get in by our close-off time tomorrow. And I don't think we've determined that yet. We're going to kind of figure that out, how our day is going tomorrow. But tonight I'm going to just go ahead and answer some really common questions that keep coming at me. And then if you guys have any questions about anything that has to do with intermittent fasting, or I guess aging women, or nutrition, or whatever it is, it's kind of like kind of eating at you that you kind of want an answer for, we will go ahead and get those answered tonight. So it's going to be a little bit of a free forum. If you are joining us on Facebook, please make sure that you hit that like button so that I know you're here. Leave me a comment so I know you're here as well, and I can look for your questions or your comments. And if you're joining me from YouTube, always make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you will be notified when I upload a new video. Tonight is my last night for the week, and then I take a break on Friday and Saturday, and I'll be back here Sunday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then if you're catching me on YouTube, you will see me again on Monday morning. So welcome to those of you who are here. I'm going to start off with just the basic, hey Amy, how are you? The basic questions that I get like repeatedly. So I can go ahead and get those answered. Hey Marie, how are you? And Teresa's here. Okay. So I'm going to answer those in case you might have those questions yourself. So one of the biggest questions that I get about intermittent fasting has to do with what breaks your fast. And so, you know, how many calories are you allowed to have during a fast, and you know, what are you allowed to have and what are you not allowed to have? And my like basic answer to that is, if you're going to fast, just fast. Like, don't take your chances that you could possibly be breaking your fast, or don't take your chances that you could take yourself out of the most optimal fasting experience if you're going to just make the decision to fast. And I always say that with intermittent fasting, that there's no real failure at it. It's just a decision. You're either going to fast or you're going to feast, and one of those things are going to occur in your system within a 24-hour period. And that's really not any different than any other way that we live around food, except we tend to feast more than we allow ourselves to fast. We generally only fast during our sleeping hours. And so all we're doing with intermittent fasting is we're just kind of switching the tables a little bit, and we're creating a longer fasting window and a shorter feasting window. So if you're gonna do that, I just say do it 100%, and don't worry about all the little tiny details of what breaks a fast and what doesn't break a fast. When you close out your feasting window at night, just don't put any calories in your body until you have made the decision that you're going to break your fast and start incorporating some calories. That is the best way to ensure that you're going to reap the best benefits out of fasting. And reaping the best benefits out of fasting is not always associated with weight loss or physique change. It's really associated with what you're doing internally to heal your body. And when you heal your body, you reduce inflammation, which will be the first thing that you notice as a change. Your body will feel slimmer and appear slimmer. The scale doesn't always catch up when it's just an inflammation loss. It usually takes a few days for the scale to catch up. And if you don't get discouraged and you stick it out and you stay hard and true and fast to your fasting window, the scale will eventually catch up. And when the scale catches up, it all starts making sense for you. Too many times we get frustrated with what can I break my fast with, and can I chew gum, and do I have to live without creamer in my coffee, and all these things that are just sort of comfort things that got you in trouble in the first place. And we need to learn to just let them go. You will survive. It's a couple of days of getting used to things and creating new habits and breaking old habits, but you'll be okay. So if you're wondering if intermittent fasting is for you because you don't know if you can have 15 calories or 50 calories or 100 calories because you've heard conflicting information, then just get rid of the conflict and don't put any calories in your body at all. And then see what your fasting experience can yield for you and your body and what it needs to do to heal. One of the other things I get frequently asked about intermittent fasting is, what do you do on the weekends? So I talk about a lot. What I started doing in the beginning on the weekends is I left it very flexible and kind of left it up to my family. And what I found was that I was fasting anyway, and so I just now incorporate fasting on my weekends, and it's become so routine for me that I don't even really worry about when I break my fast. I tend to probably fast longer than I ever really intended to because I just don't think about it anymore. And that comes naturally to your body when you've healed your hunger hormones and your hunger hormones work the way they're supposed to work. And we teach that the very first week in our course. When your hunger hormones are working against you, then you tend to be kind of fixated on food, and you feel hungry, and you get the fatigued feeling and all those things associated with not having food in your system. And once you really learn how to manage all that and have your hunger hormones work for you, and your body is treated with nutrient-dense food so it feels nutritionally satisfied, you don't need to eat because your body's needs are already met. And so you just stop thinking about when your eating window is, and you just fast. It just becomes a natural way of being. And if you think about how humans have evolved over time, that's how we were designed to live. We were designed to live when food was not plentiful, and we survived. And so we are just creating that environment for ourselves where we just don't make food as plentiful and as easily accessible, mostly just emotionally not as easily acceptable, and then we just become fasting people naturally, which is how we're supposed to be. Another one of the things that I get asked a lot about is medications in fasting. And so what I always advise is if you're on like a prescription health medication, so something that is life-sustaining in a sense, like diabetic medication, or something that's going to be cholesterol medication, heart medication, those kind of things. I always say speak with your doctor to make sure that what you're going to be doing is going to be okay. Oftentimes, when you start fasting and your body learns how to heal itself, you get the double effect of any medication that you're on. So if you're on a diabetic medication or something to lower your blood sugar levels, and then you fast, and your fasting also lowers your blood sugar levels, you can get a negative double effect. So your blood sugar levels could drop really low. So just be aware of that and listen to the signals that your body is sending to you. And then I always say, go back and talk to your doctor about redosing your medicine, because your body's now doing what your medicine has been doing, but it's doing it naturally on its own. So be aware of what, maybe research what it's like, what it feels like to have really low blood sugar, and be aware of those signs that your body's sending to you, and then just be prepared to, go in and have a visit with your doctor. And with all the new healthcare changes, wouldn't it be nice to not be on prescription medication? So I would say work closely with your physician. And I always advise that we are our own responsibility as far as healthcare goes. Don't go into a doctor's office blindly nodding yes, and let them kind of take control of your health. We are responsible for our own health and well-being. And with the age of the internet and with information being so readily available to us, I always say get a second or third opinion via research on your own, and then make an educated decision about your healthcare for yourself. And today, there's enough information out there, and with things like intermittent fasting, and thank goodness there are doctors now publishing research on the health benefits of intermittent fasting, that you could pretty much cure yourself with something like fasting. So do your research and give yourself an opportunity to not necessarily have to rely on the healthcare system if there's options for you. And optimistically going into a situation like fasting, when you have some health conditions, and doing your research and being very well educated on what the opportunities are that are afforded to you, can put you in a position where you no longer have to rely on a healthcare system that is not optimal for the everyday person anymore, and you can really take charge of things for yourself. So that's medicine advice. Another thing that I get a lot of almost arguments on is the whole coffee situation. And here's my deal with coffee. Coffee is just like everything else. Some people can handle it, some people can't. And there's a term called caffeine adaptive. When your body's caffeine adaptive, it's sort of like being sugar adaptive. Like, I can't handle and break down sugar. I know that. And so when I take in sugar, I get certain feelings and my body can't process it. And if I have too much sugar, I eventually get sick. Well, there's people out there that are the same with caffeine. And so just because some people use coffee or caffeine with fasting doesn't mean everyone has to in order to be successful. So if you're not a coffee drinker and you don't enjoy coffee, don't pick it up. You don't have to drink coffee to be successful. You can find something else or do without. It's just it's sort of, I don't know, I guess what I would call things like coffee and carbonated water and all that stuff are just like the lazy person's way to get through discomfort. And I'm a lazy person. Like, I like the coffee because it subdues my appetite, and it is that thing that gets me through my morning, and it does make me feel good, and I can metabolize caffeine and coffee well. So having coffee in the morning or even late in the afternoon does not negatively affect me. So I am a person that can use coffee and caffeine as a tool. Some people can't. So if you're not caffeine adaptive, find something else to do to sort of preoccupy you or offset your hunger so that you don't have to pick up a habit that you don't already have. And so there's nothing negative about coffee in any way. It's not a bad thing if you drink coffee, but you can do without it. So just do without it. And I had to learn that the hard way with the whole bulletproof coffee thing. And I knew that I could not digest butter because I'm a person who doesn't handle dairy well. So I jumped on the fad bandwagon, which I always advise people to avoid the fatty things that have to go fad, F-A-D, that go with dieting because they're just lazy people tools. And I know because I'm a lazy person with some of those things and I pick up the tools. So I thought I'd be lazy and do the bulletproof coffee because everyone was having great results with it and the fat made sense and the coffee together made sense and I got all that. And I started drinking bulletproof coffee and I got sick because I cannot tolerate dairy, and butter is one of those dairy products that really messes my system up. And so I ended up kind of getting a little sick from the coffee and then had to take a step back and take a look at my life and go, well, that was dumb. I don't even do dairy. Why am I having butter in my coffee? It just wasn't a smart move. And so you have to use a little bit of common sense and not always be so willing to follow the pack and kind of create a path for yourself with some guidance from some other people. So don't go backwards on your nutrition. If someone's doing something and they say that is working for them and it doesn't make sense that it's going to work for you, just don't adapt those things. There's other things that you can do in their place or just do without and find your way. So those are kind of the big ones that I've been getting questioned on, other than are we going to starve to death? Which, you know, I understand the whole, like, are we going to starve to death thing, because I kind of thought that too. And what I really focus on with our group is teaching you how to fast properly so that you don't starve. And one of the biggest problems that I find where women are suffering through fasting or failing at fasting or feeling like they're failing at fasting is because they're not really fasting and they're starving themselves. And there is a huge difference between being in a true fasted state and starving your body. And we don't starve ourselves. We purposely fast so that we can create a healthy environment for our body to not only metabolize out glycogen, but to metabolize in a fat burning situation and then create that adaptogen, the autophagy state, so that we can actually heal ourselves from within. And so that's the big difference between fasting and starvation. So you're not going to starve to death. Your body won't let that happen. And we're gonna learn how to fast properly so that we put ourselves in a fat burning state. And that's when we don't have to worry about counting calories anymore. And again, I teach all that in the course. The science and the common sense behind why it is we no longer have to count calories or portion control when we create a fat burning state in our body, and what our body does for us to make sure that we have enough calories so that our body can actually reset our metabolic burn rate. And one of the biggest reasons why we stop losing weight when we're on a diet is because our body's metabolic burn rate adjusts to the calorie deficit that we generate for our body. So for the longest time, I was on a 12 to 1400 calorie diet. It's ridiculous. Like, I was forever on that diet because when I punched in all my numbers on that little chart, that's what it said I was supposed to eat. And so when